Welcome back to Out There. Today I am tying one of my, well, it is my favorite fly of all time, and it's a bird's nest. Maybe a little different from the standard tie on a bird's nest, but it's pretty close. So I like this fly, and I usually carry it in 3 colors in a couple different sizes, depending on what I'm up to. Olive is generally my favorite, followed by black, and then I keep some tan ones in my bag as well. But I tie it mostly on something about a size 10 or a size 8. And I like it on like a scud style hook. If you can see this, hopefully it'll come in. This will work pretty well. This is a size 10 scud hook. And I also have tied them with great success on these Mustad mosquito hooks. They're very light and they have a nice open gap in them. And I really like these because I like that wide gap. I think it helps with the hookups. I've also tied them on hooks like these Daiichi size 8s here, which are very good too. So the hook selection doesn't really matter a whole lot. I just don't want it to be super long, and I do kind of like the scud style, a little bit more curve in the hook. It's not just a pure straight shanked hook. And I almost always tie these with a bead head. I find that the bead head just gets down in the current better. I don't like to wrap lead on my flies. I'd rather just put a bead head on them, but I do occasionally just mix things up. I haven't found that the color of the bead is overly critical. So I've used gold and black colored, of course. And then this year I'm probably going to try some silver ones just to see what happens. And because I'm kind of running low on gold and black. But I do have 3 black ones here, so I'll probably start with those. And I'll start out with, let's go with these Daiichi hooks. So I'm going to take these Daiichis and I keep a magnet on my vise. The hooks go right there, right? It looks like I'm down to, oh, they're stuck back there. We'll stack them right there, and there they are. They're all on my vise, nicely available. I don't know if that's really that effective or not, but that's where I usually keep them. And you, of course, need to have quality tools. I think my cat is coming to visit me back there. I can hear him batting on the door. A good little pair of scissors, of course my bobbin holder, and whip finisher, nice. I like this Loon head cement, and I like dubbing wax. Dubbing wax is really simple. I bought this, I don't know, like 25 years ago, I think, and I'm still working through with the first one. It takes forever to wear through one of these things. A pair of hackle pliers. And that's basically it for my tools. If you want to fluff out your dubbing a little bit, you're going to want like a little wire brush. And this is, you don't have to buy anything special. This is a 22 barrel cleaning brush, like a little copper brush for cleaning a 22 barrel. And I'll put links to all these parts in the description below, and that way you can go online and buy them all and see what I'm talking about. So the first thing I use a lot of here is mallard flank. Right, so I like this kind of yellowish color one. Let's see what they call that. Wood duck flank, but it's this tan brown color. I like this better than the white color. You can get the white ones as well, of course. And then I need copper wire or brass wire, a thin copper or brass wire, and it's not really for weight or anything like that to make it pretty. The wire will help your fly last longer, hold that sucker together. It's just tying all the stuff down to keep your fly together. So I've got this chunk of old like electrical wire or something with all these shreds in it, and I've been using this for a long time as copper wire. I just pull one off and I'm good to go. For the dubbing, I like this Harlan's Ice Dub, and sometimes I mix in a little bit of plain olive hare's ear because I don't necessarily like it quite this flashy, but it's not bad. In fact, I think this might already have been mixed by me with a little bit of regular Harlan's Dub to cut down a little of that flash. I like a little bit of flash, but not a huge amount. And these ones are pretty good. I've done well with these. I'm not sure if the flash actually helps or not. I just think it looks prettier to me. So there you go. A lot of these things it's kind of weird because what we care about, the fish don't seem to. So such is life. But those are my basic parts. So obviously you can see it's not a whole lot if you want to tie this fly. You got 2 soft parts. You got a hook and a bead and a wire. that's your parts for this fly. So that's pretty good. And we're going to cut to the other view here, and I'll tie this sucker up for you.
So here we got the Daiichi hook mounted up. It's a size 10 Daiichi salmon hook with a black brass bead on it. And I'm wrapping it here with black number 6 or a 6/0 thread. The thread color doesn't really matter a whole lot here because it's almost entirely covered up. Using my olive mallard flank, or whatever color you want to call it, lemon mallard flank, I think they call it sometimes. I'm just going to pull off a little bit for the tail. And I want the tail length normally about the length of the body of the fly. I'll throw a loose wrap on there. As you see, I pinch it between my fingers and then throw a couple wraps on top of it to hold it down. Adjust the length and then wrap up the body. Next up, I'm going to tie in my wire. This is just some fine copper wire that I had. And like I said before, the wire color isn't really critical here either. Brass or copper is usually what I use. And it just kind of holds the fly together and gives it a little rib. Tightens the body up so it's not quite so fluffy sometimes. If you get your dubbing loose, your body can be really fluffy, and the wire kind of holds a lot of that down. I'll use my hackle pliers here. The way I wrap a hackle is I make a dubbing loop, and I've got another magnet on my vise, and you can see my hackle pliers hanging there. They're kind of drawn to that magnet on the vise. I'm going to put a little bit of dubbing wax on. I'll get out that Harlan's Ice Dub. Sometimes there's little clumps in this dubbing, and a lot of the time I'll pull those out. You can see the darker spots there in that dubbing, and they end up being not exactly what I want on my fly. Looks like I need a little more here. So I want to make a little strip of dubbing here that's about 2 inches, maybe 2.5 inches long. Let's stick it on there. And then I'm going to wrap the other side of my thread around it, kind of pinching the dubbing layer there between the two threads, and then tie back the thread so it sits there. And then I'm going to wrap up the body and spin my dubbing. You can see those thicker clumps that are hanging off. I'm going to end up cutting those off later when they're tied on the fly. I'll just wrap it around. If you use the rotary on your vise, a lot of people will do this with the rotary, and they have a little wire that sticks out and holds that bobbin up, but I haven't attached one of those wires on mine because I just don't use it that much, although I keep thinking about it. I'm going to wrap up until I've got just a little bit behind the bead there, maybe, I don't know, just 1/8 of an inch, a little less than 1/8 of an inch there. And then you can see those little strips of extra dubbing and how well they're attached. That dubbing loop style there that I did will really hold your dubbing on well. Now I'm going to wrap the wire. The bobbin wire and dubbing loop can get a little bit fiddly here, but after a while you learn to manage it. It's not a problem. I'm sure there's faster ways to tie this. A professional could go through this a lot quicker than me. I throw a couple wraps over my wire. The wire tends to stay on by itself, which is nice. And I'm going to clip it off with a little bit to spare, and then I usually fold that in back toward the body of the fly. Kind of traps the thread under the wire. Next thing I'm going to do is the wing, the last piece of this fly, really. And once again, I'll just rip off a bunch of this this lemon mallard flank, or cut it off depending. And I want this to be just slightly longer than the body of the fly usually. You know, the body length or a little bit longer. Let's see there. And I'm going to hold it down. I just kind of wrap the extra bulk of that layer around the fly. This is kind of a sparse and scattered pattern. I haven't noticed that if you miss a little spot that it's critical or not. I don't like a big clump of wing. I like it to be thin. And I actually pull a little bit off here to thin it out a little bit. Right there, like that. I just throw like 1 or 2 wraps on the fly and get the little bits of wing spread out nicely where I want it. Or if you call it wing or shell case or whatever it is, legs. Cut off the extra. Tie it all down. And the last step is the extra little bit of dubbing there that I left hanging will wrap just above that wing behind the bead. I'll tie that off and pretty much done. Little whip finish. I usually throw 3 loops in my whip finishes, and I usually do it twice. Kind of a habit. And there you go. And this head cement here is that Loon head cement. I've never had a bottle of this before. I usually just used clear fingernail polish, but this stuff I actually really like. It's really thin and soaks into the knot of the fly really well, so I do like it quite a bit better. And it comes with that nice applicator on the bottle, so that'll help a lot. But I really think all that is like a hide glue, like Elmer's glue, thinned out really heavily with water. That's what it looks like to me anyways. And there's the fly. It's all done.
So there you go. That's how I tie my bird's nest. It's fairly simple. Took me about maybe 5 minutes there to tie one of those up. They're durable. The fish seem to like them a lot, which is nice. And if I could only have one fly in my box, this would be it. It'd be kind of a contest between black or olive, but I don't know. Olive was the original one that really worked out well for me, and so it might end up being the one that would be in my box. But this would be the fly that would go in my box, the last one to come out, I'll say that. So I hope you enjoyed. This is the first time I've ever done one of these. I've got some more to come, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time on Out There.